Hello and welcome. I'm Angela Meiritz-Reid from Christchurch, New Zealand, and today I'm sharing with you this card that I made recently for the Stamping Fancy Friday challenge, which was gratitude. I've used this beautiful big thanks so much stamp, and that is from this set here, the Kindest Expressions. It's got these lovely sentiments and these gorgeous big fonts. I've also used the Stitch with Whimsy dies around here, so I've got a lovely twisted stitched look on the edge, and the floral images are from the Darling Details set. And I love this set because you can watercolour it like I have here, or you can just use the infill stamps, just depending on what look you're going for. So to get started, I'm going to blend this background here, and I've made this slightly bigger because what I like to do is trim it down. I did it the other way around this time on here, and you can see it's dark around the edges. So to avoid that, if you start with a bigger piece and trim it down, it just depends what look you're going for. So I've got my Petal Pink stamp pad here and my blending brush, and what I tend to do is take my ink off here and just pop it onto here, just so I don't get too much on the brush at once. And I start off the paper and then just blend it in, and all I want to do is get dark around the edges and fading into the middle, so not over the whole card. So you get the idea. I will speed this up so you don't have to watch it all. Right, so you can see I've got a good amount of coverage around the edges, and I'll just bring it in slightly into the middle, not colouring it all, but just to take that sort of starkness off there. And then what I'm going to do, get that all away, is bring in my large die cutting machine. And run that through. Get that as even as possible, and then I can trim it down from there. Just run that through. So it just gives a lovely stitched effect to that card. Then what I want to do is trim that down, and I need to trim that down to 9 centimetres wide. Just trim, so I've got a good centimetre, so I'll just trim a little bit off here, each side. I have to trim a little bit more off that other side, just to make sure it's even. Just a fret. Actually, I might even leave that because that does look pretty good. It's just a couple more centimetres wider. It's about 3 centimetres, and then I wanted it 11.9. So that's about just a couple of centimetres off each end. So just really to get that dark edge off, which you absolutely don't need to do if you like that look. The trimmer needs replacing with, although sometimes this paper is a little bit thicker, so it does sort of do that a little bit more easily. Right, so get that out of the way. And you may hear my cat has just come into the room. She likes to be heard. And then this is a standard New Zealand size card front. So I'll show you, fold that in half, and using the thick white. So it really does work really well with the card, especially when you've got a few things on the front. So I find that I don't like the proportions of that, so what I want to do is trim off just a little bit off the bottom so it will look a bit more balanced. So the one I've done is about 1.5 centimetres off. So I'll just pop that into my trimmer. Because I've made it not quite as small as the other one, I'll just take a little bit less off. Just check if that looks okay. Yeah, I think that looks okay. So leave that as that. These dies are really, I think, the size-wise designed for the imperial size cards, but I just think by trimming it down you get the same sort of look. So I'm just going to leave that, set that aside for a while, let that ink set in before I do the embossing. So I'll set that to one side. So now I want to do these flowers. So I've got some more fluid 100. I'll just put on some scrap here. So I've stamped these in Versamark and embossed them in gold. So I have got one of the larger, that one there, and I've got the small flower, and I've got 2 of the leaves. I was running out of blocks, so it's on a long size block, but that's okay. So I'll use my embossing buddy first and really get that well covered. It helps to stop the powder sticking. And I've got my Versamark, and because these are coated polymer, I'll just pop in my foam pad underneath. So I want one of these, get a good ink up. And one of these, I'll just work really quickly. And 2 of these. I have got one of the flowers already done, so I'll use the one I've got. I made too many the other day, so it's always a nice surprise when you find some extra ones you've done. So I'll just cover that with the embossing powder. Tap that off. A little blow. I always find that helps, though there are some little just stuck in there a little bit. It won't matter too much if they're around the outside because it is going to be die cut. So, and I'm going to sprinkle the page with gold, so that sort of hides when you add some gold splatters. It hides a few. Oh no! Just bumped that with my finger. That wasn't very clever, was it? Just put a bit more powder on that spot. There we are. I'm not to do that again. Out of the way, and then I'll just heat set this, so I won't be a moment. when you are heat setting the gold on this fluid 100 paper, just want to not over process it or heat it for too long, because it does tend to sort of disappear into the card, so then you're not getting that lovely raised edge on it. Not that it matters, you're still getting the gold look, it just not so raised. I guess that's, you know, it just sort of seems to absorb into the paper. So now I'm going to I might die cut those first before I colour them, so I'll just cut them apart. Makes it a little bit easier popping it on the machine. And then I'll bring in the mini machine, which is perfect for these little dies. And I'll see if I can do more than one at a time. Sometimes I find that doesn't always work so well. Especially too when you've embossed paper, sometimes it can be a bit not so flat anymore. That looks okay. Run that through. Is it moved? That might have moved, just that's the problem. Get that in straight down through. Well, so that's good. It's always a relief, isn't it? And one more of those, and the flower. See. Pop that onto there. The mini machine, it's so handy. I know of people that have even taken these away on holiday, because when you pack it up, it doesn't take much space at all. Straight down and through. Oops. And oh yay. Okay, so they're all die cut and ready to be watercoloured. So bring that back in so you can see that. So the flower I have done in Pool Party. I just work off here. If there's not, sometimes I add some more ink in from the little refill, or just tap it off here. So what I want to do is just add a bit of, so we'll just take the colour in there. So I just want a little bit darker around those edge bits. And I want to work quite quickly, because I want to be able to blend them in a little bit before they dry off too much. But I still want them to keep that darkness, that depth of colour. Just add that there, then just take off that, and then just add water and just blend that in a little bit. Just don't want to dilute that too much. I missed that one there. Can, when it starts to dry, add a little bit more darker colour if you like. Even using your Stampin' Up markers, go on and add some more. I think that looks okay. So that's really quick and easy. Just set that aside to dry. And I'll use now the Granny Apple Green for the leaves. And these, what I did is I cut off that leaf there. I'll keep that one. And that's going to be tucked in underneath anyway, so it doesn't matter how that looks too much. So then with this, I just took up a bit of that darker ink and ran it along here. and then along here. And then the same on this one. No, I've done it on this end here. I think that does work out to be the same it does when you're doing it round. And then here. Sometimes I try to get a bit caught up in where I want the light to react, but I'm sure that, you know, when you give the card to someone, that's not really the first thing that they're looking at. They're just happy to have a card. And then just to add that clearer sort of less colour on that water painter. Just pop those aside to dry. And then the little flower, which, as I said, I've already got one here ready. So I'll just bring in that petal pink. And I'll put another water painter here, so same thing. I've just added that on that side, darker, and in the middle a bit. On the wrong side, it won't matter. It's not really that dark anyway, is it? Try and get a little bit darker. I'll just grab the see how that works, if that's going to add a little. It does actually. See, just add a bit of darker colour with that. And then because these are water based, let's take some water out of there and then just blend that down. And then, hey presto, that's your flower coloured. So I've got two of those little ones there. So I'll set those all aside. And then bring back in, just get that wet stuff out of the way, bring this back in, this piece that we've blended. So what I want to do is get that nice and straight onto here, and I don't really want to have to do that all again. So what I do is bring in a light coloured stamp pad, like the grey granite or something like that. Line this up to the best ability on my block and get that nice and straight, and then pop this on here and hope that it's straight, and then stamp onto here, and then stamp and I think it's just going down just ever so slightly, just really fractionally. I'm just going to lift that a bit, bring it up, try that again. It's just still slightly. Just sometimes when you move things, so then they end up more wonky than when you started, but try that again. Oh, that's perfect. See how that's lined up right along there. So it's just a really good way of getting that straight before you put it on your project. So now you do need to clean that off, because you definitely don't want that on your, well, firstly your Versamark pad. And it's good because it is a just a cling stamp set, so it's going to stay in place really well while you clean it off. Right, so I know that's straight, so that's a good start. So put that back in, and then my Versamark ink pad, which you can see is quite dirty anyway now. It's been well used. It still does the trick, so that's the main thing. So give that a really good rub over. I hope that it's dry. And then there's a good ink up. And then just going to work out. So what I tend to do is line this up with the top and then just take it down to where I want to stamp it. So I think about there. And won't know it's totally straight until I've done this. So fingers crossed. I think I might have gone off on a wee tangent, but that's okay. I think it was more when I was standing over it. It's quite hard with the camera and everything, but it'll be fine. So I'll just blow some of that excess off, but I'm going to, as I say, splatter it with some ink. So right, so I'll just heat set this. And it doesn't tend to disappear quite so much, I think, because it's got the ink on it already. It just, it doesn't disappear into the paper so much. Right, so I've done that. And then I want to be able to put it straight onto here, but I don't want, the splatter will make it a little bit wet. So I'm going to get it all ready to pop on there. Add a whole pile of dimensionals. Backs off all of those. Let's stick that down properly to start with. Right. So now I'm going to pop it onto here. And then, so I want to put my flowers on after the gold splatter. So I've got just some scraps of paper. I'm just going to put that. If I had plenty of time, I would normally just splatter it and set it aside. I just want to get it done. So I'll just pop that. And I don't want the splatters all over the card at the back. That's already like that. And then what I've got is some of this Winsor & Newton ink. I'll just give that a good shake up. And funnily enough, I had it on my shopping list. I needed to buy some. And it was what I ended up buying when I was in Las Vegas. I was in a craft shop and they had some. So I went and bought it. So I've got an old aqua painter here. I'm just going to dip into here. And then just flick, and this is always trial and error of how it's going to look. So I think that's okay. Sometimes less is more, and it's good to give up before things turn to custard. So just and it does tend to dry reasonably quickly once it starts absorbing into that card, but I can just pull these away now, set them aside for another time. And now it's just a matter of popping on the flowers I've watercoloured. So that's already done. So I'll turn those all over, bring in my dimensionals, and I tend to not put too many on because I want to tuck things underneath, and I like the way things look when they're not stuck down, you know, there's a bit of movement on them. Just want a little half. Got any little halves? Oh yeah, I have. It's a half here. I'll just tuck that on there. So, and I want to avoid that ink, the wet ink. So that's going to sit about here. And then this one here, I'm going to tuck that in here. So pretty easy once you've got everything watercoloured and die cut. So you think it stick very well. Got fingers and thumbs today. Didn't take the back off when it pulled off the sheet. Tuck that one over here. And this one down here. In there. So because I hadn't put all those dimensionals right to the edge, there was room to pop those things in. And then I've got these little sequins, and these are from the I haven't got the pastel adhesive backed sequins. These ones are, so there are a few different colours in that. I just want one down here, another one, and then they just tie in with those blobs as well. So, and if you don't particularly like a blob, you can just pop a sequins over it to cover it up. And so that is my card. So as you can see, they end up looking a little bit different each time you do them, but I love how when you add that splatter, it camouflages any little bits that have ended up being on your card from the embossing. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll hopefully see you again soon. Bye for now.